maybe your body's not against you. Maybe the pain you're feeling is your body trying to tell you something. You know, your body's symptoms are not purely physical. They always have an emotional and energetic component as well. If you'd like to learn how to assist your body's natural healing process by clearing blocked energies and understanding your body's messages, I invite you to enroll in my step-by-step course, Talk to Your Cells, because you are so much more powerful than you know.
I used to say we need a lawyer in the family. Having Legal Shield is better.
For less than $1 a day, you get access to vetted lawyers.
Want to create your will? Call Legal Shield. Got personal contracts to review? Call Legal Shield.
Do you need a vetted law firm to write a letter? Call Legal Shield. Warranty questions? Call Legal Shield.
For less than $1 a day, it's a no-brainer. Shield yourself from costly legal expenses. Call Legal Shield today.
What if you could walk onto any stage and own the room? I'm Amie Sponza, and I've spent decades mastering the art of stage presence. Now I'm here to help you do the same. By blending proven acting techniques with powerful coaching strategies, I'll guide you to calm your nerves, speak with clarity, and connect with your audience like never before. It's time to command the mic with confidence.
Well, welcome everybody back to Mindful Mondays. So we are all on a journey, and sometimes those journeys have challenges. However, you do not have to face those challenges alone. At Mindful Mondays, we believe that we can do more together, and we're here to support you holistically and without judgment. So thank you for joining us today. Well, I hope you are ready to transform nervousness to naturally confident, because my guest today has been there and she knows what a challenge it is, what it can be to put yourself out there. So Amie Sponza, she has over 45 years experience in acting, directing, and producing, and has become a master at converting stage fright into a magnetic presence. So welcome, Amie, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Laura. What a great introduction.
Oh, not a problem. I know it's been quite a while, but can you take us back to what it was like when you were just getting started, and what drove you to become an actor? Because I know they say a lot of people, right, the high thing more scary for people than death is speaking and getting up in front of people, yet that was the route you chose.
Yeah. I think probably I have to go back to 7th grade auditioning for the high school musical. It was junior high and high school combined, and I just loved being on stage. But auditioning in this new school, having come from a little, elementary Catholic school with a small class, and now as part of this big, bigger school, I was very nervous, and I did not make it in 7th grade, and I was devastated. I was just devastated. And watching my friends who got to be in it, I was so envious. So the following year, I was determined that I was going to get in. And I bolstered myself, practiced the song I was going to sing. I don't even remember what it was now, but the play we were doing was George M., and they had to teach us to tap dance, as well as learn the songs and the choreography. So we started in the fall for a March production, and I was hooked at that point. And so years later, after 5 years in New York after graduating college, with a theater degree, double major in theater, because I had so many theater credits. I had not enough credits to graduate with a minor. I came back to my hometown and planned on assisting a director at the high school with, the show that they were going to do. And then the principal called me in and said, the director has had to bow out. He cannot do it. Would you be willing to take it on? So I having gotten a C in directing in college, I decided, what the heck, I'm going to go for it. I had a wonderful mentor since I was 16 who gave me the confidence to step up and do it. And so when it came time for auditions, I let all of the young ones who only wanted to be in the chorus, I allowed them to audition in pairs, because I remember how scary it was to be up there by myself in this big, huge auditorium. So that's where it all started, you know. I mean, I think always as a little girl, I was making believe. I was, you know, with my sisters, we would, um, you know, put on little shows for the family. And it's just, I think it'll always be with me. Even now, as I'm doing more producing than performing, my performing comes with something like this, like coaching and being on podcasts and such. And I take it for granted now. And it's been pointed out to me, wow, you're just so comfortable. I'm like, it's just part of who I am now.
Yeah.
And that comes with practice. And yes, I still get nervous if I'm not familiar with the material I'm going to be delivering.
So you started this kind of what you said, seventh grade, right? So that's
Yeah.
really kind of early on. Well, you probably started before that since you were doing stuff with your siblings. Would
Yeah.
you always had kind of an outgoing personality, or did you see yourself as someone with a very outgoing personality?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of five, and you know, with a big extended family. And my mother used to call me. Oh, she used to tell me just to stop being so dramatic. And there was an actress that was very dramatic back in the day, and she used to. Oh, I can't think of the name of the woman. Anyway, you know, it was like, you know, oh, life is so hard. You know, she used
Was
to.
that like Audrey Hepburn or one of those?
No,
Or
no, it was like um, from you know, like Shakespeare's day or
oh,
whatever.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, like that. Not Shakespeare, because women weren't allowed on stage, but
Yeah, but I'm sure plenty of us have heard that term. Oh, stop being so
yeah,
dramatic.
it's gonna come to me, but I can't think of the name of her. It'll come to me. And when I started working with my mentor Peg Murray, who won the Tony Award for Cabaret back in 1967, she was on All My Children, which I watched. So when I met her teaching a summer improv class, uh, I was starstruck, to be sure. And we ended up forming a company. And the first play that we did was Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. I don't know if you can tell, behind me here is a strip. It's an original Charles Schulz comic strip with Lucy and Linus. I played Lucy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Charles Schulz sent Peg Murray um, this strip signed by him to her, and she then gave it to me later on, which I
I
treasure.
was going to say that's a special treasure right there.
Very special treasure. And my that whole summer, I sort of embodied Lucy, and my mother would be like, "Will you stop being such a Lucy?" Because I was very bossy.
Hmm. Yeah, I love how all that comes around. So it wasn't. So it was still a challenge for you, but probably not as much of a challenge as like to say people that would really love to do it, but they're more of an introvert or not very outgoing.
Right.
I, I'm just saying because you know me, I didn't like being the whole by myself.
Mhm.
I didn't even like getting up and giving speeches. Never mind, you know, doing a producing or you know my own TV show kind of a thing. But still,
And
it's
here you
kind of
are.
funny how, and here I am. But it's funny how I didn't have all that many years of experience though. So I'm happy to have you on here. Um, so what was that kind of like then?
The which part?
Well, so maybe I mean a little bit. Was there certain stages that you went through that are things that happened that kind of kept building your confidence, or was it
Yeah.
always kind of
Well,
just there?
I think certainly working, I mean, from high school, I was in the musicals every year from 8th grade on. And first it was just chorus, right? Being in a group. And I just loved it. And I think when I got to my sophomore year, we did Damn Yankees. And I got to be a featured dancer. Who's got the pain when they do the mambo, you know? And we got to wear these sexy outfits and I was a big flirt in high school. So that was fun. And then in my junior year, I got a lead playing Aunt Eller, who is in Oklahoma. And so I got some featured songs in that. And then I was Sound of Music. I was Liesel. And and my sister was in it. And, it was wonderful. But my confidence grew when I started working with Peg. We were doing improv 2 summers. Summer I was 16, summer I was 17. And then my neighbor, who was also the art teacher in my high school, said, you really ought to do a full-length production and form a company. And I'll go apply for grant money so that we can pay Peg. And that's what we did. And that's when we started with Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. And from there, by 1983, we wanted to be more than just Greenport because we were performing in the next town over as well. So we formed a 501c3 nonprofit theater company called Northeast Stage. And that has, that's when we got our 501c3 status, was in September of 1983. And I've been running it ever since. And working with a professional who'd had a tremendous Broadway career, had an incredible life. She really was an inspiration to me, so much so that I was inspired to make a documentary film interviewing her about her life, which I have a Facebook page for that. And you can see the trailer. It's called Peg Murray Inspiration on Facebook. And she went from singing on the radio at 3 years old in Denver, Colorado, to being sent overseas post-World War II to entertain the troops as a CAT, civilian actress technician. She said, I think they named us that so they could call us cats and live in the cat house and drive the cat car. And it was like an offshoot of the Army.
Right.
So she did. And then, having toured all over Europe, she came back to the United States and said to her friends, well, if we could do it there, we should be able to do it here. But that was at a time when, as a woman, she couldn't even have her own checking account. But they booked tours all over the country, bought a truck, filled it with sets, costumes, and loaded a station wagon full of actors and went across the country touring, doing shows. And then eventually came back to New York and ended up working with the Lunt Fontaine couple. She was in Gypsy with Ethel Merman. She was with Joel Grey when they won together in Cabaret. And then Fiddler on the Roof, she played the mama for a long time, years. And along the way did some television soap operas, which helped her buy property and then a house, and how she ended up in my neck of the woods out here on Long Island. And with that level of professionalism, she instilled that in all of us she was working with, and wanted to raise the bar of community theater in our area. And so, as much as I love being on stage, I also had to learn how to get the money to make it happen. The producing, because the grant money was how we were making it happen, that and selling advertising in the program. And so you just have to like get the nerve to walk into a store and say, hey, we're doing a show. Would you like to put an ad in our program? And just, you know, I kind of grew up doing that in high school, but it continued. And I work with people now who say, oh, I'm just not good at that. Well, neither was I. I just kept having to do it. And I had a big why. My big why was I wanted to be in a show. I had a drive to make that happen. So I went out and did what I had to do, and I raised the money. And I'm still doing that today. Now, I'm not taking the starring role all the time anymore, and I'm not in every show because I want other people to have a chance, and I want my organization to grow. So I would rather raise other people up and teach them what I know so that it will continue long after I'm gone.
Nice. So when is the first time you went solo? You said you started in groups. When did you go solo?
Well, I've never done a one-woman show, but I did do a two-hander with a woman named Jerry Jacob, who is sadly passed on now. We did Night Mother, and it was an incredible experience.
So real quick though, for those of us that don't know the jargon, what is a two-hander?
Well, it's just two characters.
Okay.
Only two people in the show. And for two people to carry a show and bring in an audience, because when you do a big musical, the more people in the cast, the more family and friends are coming to see you, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's easier to sell tickets. And so being able to draw an audience for two people, it speaks volumes when you have a full house.
I would imagine there had to be some anxiety and nervousness about that.
Well, there was. Fortunately for us, Jerry knew a professional director, Lenore DeKoven, who's also now passed on. She was in her 90s when she directed us. And she was in New York. So we had to go back and forth from Long Island to New York to work with her. And then we came back and worked ourselves together on the piece. And then we'd bring to her what we had, and she would make adjustments. And then finally she came out when it was time for us to open. But I think the message is really practice, practice, practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Really, it's knowing the material. And I think that also goes to, what I'm doing now, which is coaching, and knowing what I'm, the material, the backbone of what I teach, knowing it so well that, I don't need a script, you start with a script, but it becomes part of you. And then you have to just trust that it's there. And I think that's the same with because we do Shakespeare in the Park every summer with Northeast Stage. And people always, how can you remember that stuff? It's like a different language. Well, that's true. It is. But Shakespeare wrote it. So with clues for the actors to help them remember it. There's a lot of where the similar letters are in there to help you remember. It's the iambic pentameter is musical, so that it's like you remember your ABCs because it was in a song, right? That's right. Easier to learn than just saying it by rote. So there are ways to learn your material. It's a skill, and skills can be learned. Talent is innate usually, but skills can be learned, and you can overcome what some might consider a lack of talent with skill, right? So you might not feel talented at speaking in public because you are a quote unquote introvert. yeah, but it's your thought around that. It's your thought of I am an introvert that gives you, it's partly responsible for your fear in the first place. If you speak to yourself in that way, you manifest that, right?
Right.
So because our thoughts become things. If I think I am confident and I look at my stand in a with my hands on my hips, or I do my power pose and I say, I am
Say
powerful.
the Wonder Woman or the victory pose. I'm familiar with those.
I am confident. I am amazing. I am a public speaker who knows what I'm talking about. You, it, it infuses you with that confidence. Those are some of the tools that I would use and recommend anybody who felt like when you repeat a story to yourself over and over again, it becomes like ruts on the Oregon Trail. It's like hard to get out of those ruts of thinking, and it takes some effort to get out of it and say, who says I'm an introvert? Maybe I like some time to myself, but I can also be someone who is confident about what they have to say and deliver it in a way that people can understand and appreciate and respect me for. Like, for example, when you have to present to a group of people at work, or you want to present yourself well to your manager or your boss and ask for a raise, that takes confidence.
Yeah.
It's a message. And if you are confident in your own value, that's going to come across.
Yeah, 100%. I agree, because mindset, I believe, is pretty much everything, or the majority of it. You know,
Yeah.
I always say
Yeah.
you can do anything you put your mind to. And so people tell me, oh, I can't do that. I could never work from home. I'd never get out of bed. Then you're right, because you've already told yourself that.
Yeah. It's like if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right. Yep. Not here to tell you different. So, what inspired you to combine your acting techniques with coaching strategies for speaking?
Well, so how I came to coaching in the first place, um, it, during COVID, when everything, right prior to COVID, I had gone back to New York after, raising my children and all. I went back to New York and did a bunch of short films. I had an agent. I was auditioning. And then in March of 2020, everything shut down. February, my agent dropped me, and I was like, oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter. My agent dropped me because there's nothing happening. But, I come from a family business, a marina business, and that has pretty much supported me and my family through most of my married life. And so that's where I was earning my income while I was going back and forth to auditions. And my brother said to me at one point, let's go over to Mom's, let's talk. And he said, it's pretty obvious you're unhappy and everyone can tell. And it's affecting everyone at work, because I guess I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I guess I wasn't as good of an actress. I was just like, going through the motions, and it didn't light me up. I mean, I love the family business. I love, how we get people out on the water selling boats and take care of all of that. And I love the people, working with people, because I am an extrovert and I do like having conversations with people. But, it just wasn't, there was something missing. And he knew it, because he's seen me when I'm in my element. He saw me creating a short film on our property and then showing it to everyone, and how wonderful it turned out and how proud I was of it. And just like I was lit up, and he could see it. Like I literally jumped for joy doing it.
And you hit it right there. That's what I always tell people. If it doesn't light you up, you need to reconsider what you're doing. And like you said, there's acting, but the thing is when your heart is not really in it,
Yeah.
it shows. I don't care how good of an actor you may be. People can tell either by the expression, your body language, or whatever, but it comes through that you're not very happy in what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So he pointed that out to me. He said, I think you need to take the time to go figure out what it is you want to do. And, we're here for you. So, which was a very kind and brave thing for him to do, my little brother saying, big sister, go find your joy, essentially. And it was hard to hear because,
But it's nice to have the support. You had the support, though. Yeah.
I did, which was huge. So I did. I went looking and I found a coach, and I'd had a coach before, but this time I found a whole coaching program, a 12-week program that I went through myself. And one day I wrote in my journal, I would love to be in a short film, shooting in my local area, working with like-minded creative people and being part of the creative process. And then I took my dog for a walk. And on the walk, I met someone who started talking to me, and it turned out he was in the business. And I thought, ooh, maybe this is something. Then, he left. And while I was talking to him, my phone rang and I didn't answer it because I was talking to this guy. And it was a friend from high school. And so I called him back and he said, hey, Amie, it's Joe. I've written a short film. I'm here with the director. I want you to be in it. Can you meet with us today? What?
Wow.
I said, Joe, I just wrote this in my journal this morning. He goes, well, I guess it's kismet. You better meet with us. So I did. And not only did I decide, yes, I liked the concept and the offer of the role that he wanted me to do, I also helped cast the movie because I know all these local actors from my theater company. And I also provided my home and my mom's home for shooting locations for the film. And that film went on to win him an award, the director an award in a film festival. And, it was just a joy. I said, the only thing I left out was I would love to be paid.
Yeah.
So be specific when you put in your vision of what you would like.
That is a good point. You need to be more specific. Too broad doesn't work. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All those things. I was with like-minded people. I was at shooting right in my area because, things were still, toward the end of COVID, but, it was still, iffy.
Yeah.
So, there were masks involved at times. So that experience led me to say, if I can do this for myself, I can teach other people how to do it too. And I enrolled in the coaching certification program, and I've been doing that for over 3.5 years now. And I just love watching my clients get it, like having things manifest for them. When they do the work, it works. That's the message, is if there's something that you really would love, and I use my words carefully here because when you say you want something, want is like lack.
Yes.
Right? So our words are very powerful. If there's something you desire, if there is something you would love, I say, write it down in as much detail as you can, using all 5 senses of what it's like as if you already have it. First, create it in thought, because anything that you see around you was first a thought before it ever became a thing. These computers that we're using, these platforms, this being able to talk over the air had to be imagined by someone.
Yes, it did.
Before it could exist. So if you want to travel the world, if you want to buy a home, if you want the perfect job, what does that look like? What does it feel like? Who are you working with? Where are you? Uh, you know, if you want the love of your life, what is the feeling of that person? Not necessarily, the specific looks and all of that, but what does it feel like to be with that person? Those are the kind of things that you focus on, and then just know that it's already yours on some plane somewhere. Not an airplane, but I mean on the plane of existence.
Right.
You just haven't caught up with it yet.
Yeah, it's like you put things as I am,
Yes,
in other words, I am like you're there and envisioned. And if you write down all of your visions, what you're seeing, what you're feeling,
yes.
and you're writing I am as if you are there right now. Yeah.
I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a successful coach and speaker, impacting thousands of lives with the ripple effect of my coaching. That's one of the things that I say. And so, to go back to your question, taking all of the experience I have as a performer with all of these ideas of manifesting and creating things, I feel like they go together naturally, because you're creating a life you love, you're creating on stage, you're creating characters. So I say, be the star of your own life. Be the leading character. Don't be the supporting character. Be the leading character of your life. Do what is the genre? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it a mystery? Is it a rom-com? Is it a combination of all of those things to make it interesting? Is it a documentary where you're chronicling your life? Who are the supporting characters in your life? What's the through line? If you're looking back at your life on the last day, you're laying in your deathbed and you're looking back at this happy life you've had. What does that look like? Reverse engineer what you would love. And I will also add, when you do that, know that you are never one and done. When we achieve a goal, we celebrate, and I'm so happy and grateful this happened. Like, I'm so happy and grateful I'm a grandmother now.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful grandson, and yet there's always more, because we live in a spiral universe and we are ever growing and achieving. And if we're not, we are deteriorating and dying. So you achieve a goal, what's next? Enjoy the process, because it will always be a process.
Yeah. That is very well put too. So, can you share a personal experience where you transformed your stage fright into stage presence, and what did you learn from it?
Uh, well, I have to say, knowing that I have to make a presentation to a group that I'm unfamiliar with, um, it makes it, yes, there's always nerves. And even being in a show where, okay, I was in a show that the two of the guys I was in the show with wanted to wanted to do it again. And I wasn't available. So they cast someone else in the role that I had played. And then turned out she wasn't able to fulfill that commitment, and they fired her or let her go, or she quit, or whatever happened. And they came and were like, could you please, with 24 hours notice, wanted me to get back up on stage and reprise the role that I had done like months and months earlier. So with um, with a day to rehearse, with someone cueing me and rehearse, Yes, I was nervous to get back up on stage and do that without, you know, weeks of rehearsal. Um, I just, you just get up, you just have to, I'm having trouble with my words now. It's because you just have to do like Nike says, just do it. Just get up there and do it and fail fast, because when you do, you learn and you grow in the process. And yes, I made mistakes, but I kept going. And your fellow people up there will go with you. And I will say, most of the time, if you're the one up there speaking, everyone in the audience is like, man, I could never do that. I could never do that. And so when you make a mistake, it makes you human and more relatable. So you can't sit there worrying about flubbing a word or saying the wrong thing. And when I've been on stage and gone what we call going up, I said going up, like you're looking up for the words as if they're going to appear somewhere in the sky. And you have the actor's nightmare that you're naked on stage, you know. It's like what? Um, you and that has happened to me before, where I've completely blanked out on what I was supposed to say. And you rely on your fellow actors to help you find a way out of it. And when there is no one there but you, make eye contact with one person, talk to one person, and know that you're safe when you do that. You're safe, that person has you. And talk to them like, what is the message? Just go back to, what is the message I'm trying to deliver? You know, your message is, for example, forgiveness is the kindest thing you can do for yourself. If that's your message, go back to that, repeat it, and then somehow the thread will come back.
Nice.
But rehearsing, practicing, and getting it to be part of you is the way to be the most confident. If you have very little time to prepare, um, bring cards, index cards that you can look at. If most of the time, if you're doing some kind of presentation, there will be a podium or something, or you can just say, look, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I have some prompts and I'm going to be looking at them. Tell people the truth, because most of them will say, oh, I would need more than that to be able to be brave enough to get up there. Most people respect anyone who has the nerve to get up on stage. The other thing that I recommend is improvisation, because when you practice improvising in a situation, it's easier when something like that gets thrown at you, like you're in a meeting and someone doesn't show up who is supposed to lead the meeting, and someone says, oh, Amie, will you get up there and share yada, yada, yada? Like, I didn't know what you were going to ask me today, and I didn't have this story prepared.
Right.
An answer for you prepared. So you improvise and you learn to think on your feet.
So I know there's some people that do study, and I know they always say to say it out loud, not just in your head, and it's better.
Yeah.
But even your most polished speakers and people that get up on stage still get nerves. I've heard different things and I know I've experienced myself, especially when it comes to standing up and talking in front of people. I'll be perfectly fine, and then as it gets closer, all of a sudden I have to like pee like constantly. I'm like, what is this? I know other people can like do deep breaths, or they do the victory pose. Some have a certain tune or music that they tune themselves into. Some can do meditation.
Yes.
Would you say it would be safe to say that everybody has some kind of ritual or something that helps them get rid of the nerves? Because I don't care how many times you're up there. Isn't there always still some kind of nervousness that comes up?
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially the first time. And some people have it every single time. I mean, there are people that have won awards that still have nerves. But I think going back to the breath is the best thing, because when you can calm your nervous system, when you're nervous, change the word nervous to excited. Start with that. I'm so excited to get out there and speak and share my message or tell my story, because that's a more positive thing than nervous, fearful. Because when we're in that state, we're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, where, that's where you like, you can't make your feet move to get you out there on stage, right? When you start to sweat and like the tiger is going to eat you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the first thing is nice deep breaths, belly breaths, like breathing in, holding it for a moment, and then breathing out like you're breathing out through a straw. And you do that 3 or 4 or 5 times to calm the nervous system, and telling yourself, I'm okay, it's safe, I know what I'm doing, I'm confident, I am meant for this. Whatever you have to say, whatever mantra you have to say to yourself, I know this. And shift from it being about you to being about the audience you're going to serve. Who out there needs to hear what I have to say? Who is going to be served by my saying what I have to say? What is my audience going to get from me doing my job and getting out there, either as an actor or as a presenter, or even having a conversation with someone one-on-one? How is this going to serve our relationship by me speaking my truth? And what is the worst thing that could happen? And if you can live with whatever that worst thing is, and it's not, you aren't literally going to die,
Right.
then the breathing is the first step. And imagining it's over and people are congratulating you on how excellent your presentation was. Or that person, that one-on-one person says, thank you so much for telling me how you really feel. I appreciate you sharing that with me. This is how I feel. And imagining that it all went well helps you to tell the tiger, it's okay, I got this. I like to say 3 things. First, decide. First, design what you would love. Then second, decide you're going for it, whether you know how or not. The how will come. First, decide. Right? If you can only see as far as your headlights on the road, take that step. Go as far as you can with that distance, and more will appear as you go. But decide and take an action. And then when the fear comes, and it will come, because it's there to protect you. It is how we were designed. It's how we are, how we have survived all these years. Is that fear mechanism that keeps us safe. But safety can be false, right? If we don't move, if we're frozen, we can also get something can come and get us, right?
Right.
So when the fear comes, the third D I like to share is dance with your fear, right? So when you don't know the dance, it's scary. But when you get out there and try and learn it, it's fun. Once you learn it, it's fun. You get out there and you do it. You say, come on, fear. I got this. Let's learn this new step. I'm going to be in the lead. You can come along, but you cannot lead.
Nice.
So dance with your fear.
Yeah, I like that. One of the things I used to always have to tell myself is that I would just sit there and tell myself, it's like, nobody knows. I don't like to get up in front of people and speak. They don't know it. I'm the only one that knows it. So, it's
Yeah.
almost a fake it till you make it kind of thing. If you just do it, and then the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's oh, I'm sorry. This happened at 3:30 in the morning. It did that. Just that much, just one time. I don't know what is going on. There is no fire here. And it did it at 3:30 in the morning when I had a house full of people, including my daughter and her 6-week-old baby.
You may want to, if that's in your house, you may want to have that checked. In Colorado, I had that, but it was just because the sensor was too
Yeah,
sensitive.
I
But
think, and I think they're all connected. And somebody suggested it might be the humidity in my basement.
I was to say, well, I know it's not on my end. Anyway, okay, so well,
Sorry
so
about
let's go to your coaching methods. So, how do you tailor your coaching methods to meet individuals, needs because of different clients? Because everybody's at a different stage. You've got introverts, extroverts.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
So the principles that I'm teaching are, I believe, universal. And I start with finding out, where they are in their life, what is it, what is it that they are missing? What is it they would love? And why they think they haven't created it yet. If they're, for example, one of my clients who opted to work with me for a year, she was at a point where she wanted to get out of the restaurant service industry and as a waiter, and she had a 15-year-old son. She was raising on her own with her ex, and she just was wanting to pull the blankets over her head. She felt so overwhelmed with what am I going to do, that she was frozen, right? She was frozen. She knew she wanted more. She just didn't know what it was. And we landed on a vision of the house that she would love, the garden, working with, at the time when she originally made this vision, she saw herself working with children, maybe in a daycare, maybe having her own daycare situation. And she went for that. She did. She applied for jobs working in that industry and realized, while as much as I love my nieces and nephews and I love children, this is not going to provide me the income that I'm looking for my family and my goals. So she shifted. She failed fast, right? She went for it. She tried it and decided, nope, pivot. And she decided working with the elderly, and she had some clients and they loved her. And she realized, I want to do more for them than just do their errands, help them around the house. And if they have medical issues, I want to be able to help them. So she got her CPR. And then she thought, wow, if I could be a nurse, that would be awesome. So we went to work on that. And she decided to apply. She went and she checked out a college near her, and she decided, yes, I'm going to go for nursing school. And when she talked to an advisor, they said, go for medical assistant first so you can start earning money and then get your nursing degree after. And she applied for a grant, which I'm very familiar with. I said, oh, so you can get a grant as a single mother. You should be eligible. And she did that, and she got a full ride. And she is currently in school now. And she is so happy. Like, the messages that I'm getting from her are she's preaching what she learned to her friends. She is attracting like-minded people to her all the time now, and she has a lot of support, and she has mended her relationship with her ex so that they're in congruity raising her son, and she's seeing a difference in him learning how to take care of himself and go for what he wants. So and then I have had another client who wanted to she's a writer, and she had a book she wanted to publish, but she wanted an executive assistant, a job in New York so she could keep her apartment and have a hybrid situation so that she could write in the morning and before she went to work. She, in week 8 of our 12 weeks together, she manifested the job that she had described to perfection. And she came back to me to do round 2 a few months later and decided to self-publish her book, which is out and winning awards. And I can't wait for book 2. It's so great. Came out. It's a sci-fi book. So yeah, it can be tailored to each of them. And each of them had to build the confidence in themselves to go for what they wanted.
Yeah, because it
And
sounds like you don't just command, a presence on a stage like in a play or acting, but on your own stage of life, right?
exactly. Yeah, like I said, you are the star of your life. What do you want that to look like? The first client I ever had, she had so many goals. It was She had a list of all the things she wanted to accomplish. It included writing children's books, writing music, creating an album. She wanted to own classic cars. I mean, the list went on and on. And I said, and she was in a job where she was in a toxic environment, literally making her sick. She was in a basement office, and she couldn't sing because it was making her sick. So I said, you got to get out of there. And she was brave enough to give notice and get out and find something else. And she is now writing music. She is in a band. She's putting her work out there, and also decided to make her own film.
Nice.
So, yeah. So it all depends. Each person, yes, individual, everyone is different. And each one of us is an expert in our own life. So my job is to guide you and be a mirror for you as a partner in believing that what you want is possible, and not only possible, inevitable. Success is inevitable if you decide it is.
Yeah. Amie, we got about 1 minute left. What do you want to leave everybody with?
I'll say what Eleanor Roosevelt said. Believe in the beauty of your dreams. Life belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Go for it. Dream big, decide you're going for it, and dance with your fear.
I like that, dance with your fear. It's a good way to look at it. And
Yeah.
despite our fire alarm, anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We're talking about transforming, nervousness to commanding to presence. And yes, you have a lot of experience with acting, directing, and all of that. But as we said, it's not always about being on a stage, right? It's also commanding that presence in your life and getting to where you want to be. And I think you're a beautiful person to help guide people to do that. So if anyone is feeling stuck, unsure, or not wanting to make that leap, I highly recommend you connect with Amie and reach out to her. As you can see, she's a beautiful person, easy to talk to. And Amie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, Laura. I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you too. Everybody, continue to have a mindful Monday and a beautiful rest of your week, and we will see you next time.